Greetings. Hetep. Peace. Mabudiga. Greetings. Assalamu alaikum. Shalom alaikum. Osio. Halito. And all of those good greetings. Yes, this is like it is today. And this is the first show. Of course, being that this is the first show, everything is kind of a test run, getting set up and everything. Okay. So, it's going to get better and better. And I have a special guest for you. He was in the back in the studio. Give me 1 second. He dropped off. I got to get him back on. Give me 1 second. Give me 1 second. You dropped off the live. I'm just texting him right now. Come back in. Okay, so I just texted him. Let's see if we have anyone in the chat with us now. Let's see. All right. Give us 1 second. Okay, there he is. Okay, hold on, Sheikh. You are in the studio in the back. Okay, I see you. Just hold tight. Hold tight. Hold tight. All right. So our guest is Cheikh Sufi Bey. He is one of the heaviest Islamic scholars in the world. Okay. And he is very knowledgeable when it comes to Islam, African traditional spiritual systems, Moorish science, many different metaphysical disciplines. Okay. We have a serious heavyweight in the house. Okay. And without further ado, I'm going to introduce him, and he's going to talk to you all about African avatars. Okay. And these are avatars who real living people who performed miracles that were greater than Jesus the Christ of Nazareth. So without further ado, I'm going to bring in Cheikh Sufi. Cheikh.
Islam, beloved.
All right. Good to have you, man.
Man, it's better to see you again. All praises due to Allah.
Yeah, I don't know if you heard me introduce you.
Yeah, that was a tall order, man. I'm thinking I should be at least 7 foot tall with that kind of introduction. Allahu Akbar. What?
Yeah, I mean, yeah, I got to give the credit where the credit is due,
Alhamdulillah.
Yeah, so you are going down in history as the very first guest on my new channel, which is Like It Is Today.
Okay.
You're the very first guest.
So you're not doing the Ridge Road East anymore?
I'm still doing it.
All right.
However, we're having some issues. I don't
Okay,
want to talk
yeah.
about that right now, but
Fight the power.
yeah. Anyway, so yeah, um, African avatars. A lot of people, when I tell them about the African avatars, they have no clue of who these people were. And I'll let you start off by
Okay.
talking about the Sheikh Ahmadou Bamba, or you could talk about, however you want to introduce it. You could talk about how you got on the path and things of that nature and lead up into that. And I know there's many African avatars, we
Yes.
probably won't even have time to talk about, all of them because there are many of them.
Yeah, I would like to say first, A'udhu billahi minash shaitanir rajim, la hawla wa la quwwata illa billahi wa huwa al-aliyyul azim, sallallahu ala Muhammad Barke Sheikh Ahmadou Bamba. It is a blessing to come in contact with any of the avatars, manifestations of the divine being in human form. It's a blessing to come in contact with any of these avatars. In Arabic, we would call them a katub. In Sanskrit, they call them avatar. In Arabic, this being is called a katub or insan kamil, a perfect being. And it's based on the verse in the Holy Quran where Allah says to the Prophet Dawood, peace be upon the Prophet David, Allah says to Dawood, surely we will establish a Khalifatullah fil ard. Surely we will establish a representative of Allah on the earth. And this being is a perfect being according to the Islamic cosmology. This being is a living representative and manifestation of the Nur, the light of Muhammad. Peace and blessings be upon Muhammad. Because the Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, he said every 100 years a mujaddid, a reviver of the faith would come. And he also said that the scholars are the inheritors of the prophets. So what the mujaddid and what the scholar who is an inheritor of the prophet is actually inheriting is the manifestation of the light of the Prophet Muhammad salam in human form. So when this being is present, they are here to reestablish the light force on the planet. Krishna says in the Bhagavad Gita, who was an avatar, who delivered the teachings of the Bhagavad Gita to Arjuna on the battlefield, Krishna says that the avatar comes whenever it appears as if the dark force is going to overtake the light force. So the avatar comes in a period of darkness, in a period where it appears to be as if the forces of light are going to be defeated by the forces of darkness, and then dun, 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 a being of light comes. You've seen the movies. The being of light comes and destroys the Death Star. Astaghfirullah. But we were blessed to meet a living avatar, and we'll get to Sheikh Ahmadou Bamba, Sheikh Ibn Fall, but we were blessed to meet and take initiation with the highest being on the planet during his time, which was the last son of Sheikh Ahmadou Bamba, who was Serene Salihu. And Serene Salihu Mbaki, his story is beyond what I would even say in a public forum. Because, for instance, hypothetically speaking, what would the audience say if I told you that I met a human being that was born of a virgin birth? they would probably be like, what kind of drugs he on?
They'll say
So
you're
we're not
crazy.
going to talk, huh?
They'll say you're crazy.
Yeah, so I'm not going to go on a live show on YouTube and tell people that I met an African avatar who was born of a virgin birth as a son of Sheikh Ahmed Bamba. I'm not going to go on record and say that, but actually that is what happened. Uh, because people would not be inclined to believe, one, that the possibility of virgin birth exists, and two, that the possibility of a virgin birth within the last 100 years exists. And these beings are very auspicious. The master that we met, Surin Salihu, he was a realized master. He was a Hafiz of Quran. He had the whole Quran memorized. He was a scholar of inner and outer Islamic law. And he was a guide to bring the soul to realization of oneness with Allah. So we were blessed to meet this master, Surin Salihu, in 1996. And we stayed as his disciple even unto this day. We are still a disciple of Surin Salihu. He left his body in 2007, but I still receive visits from him in the unseen world in dreams. So the master is still keeping his connection with this poor disciple on the astral plane and in the planes of dreams. So what I can say is the greatest mercy about finding an avatar, a living, realized being, is that this living avatar, this being, is representing a system, a school, a teaching. Allahu Akbar, Brother Curtis Bey in the building. The avatar is representing a teaching and a school and a system for the perfectibility, purification of the soul, and the training of disciples for spiritual realization. So that is what we love most, is finding a master who was a realized being, who was able to guide us in the seen and the unseen world, meeting several masters who were under him, receiving the teachings and the practices that it would take to cultivate the inner divinity of the human being. So I would say that's the greatest thing about meeting an avatar in person. And I know that's a long introduction.
Hey, but you know, there's a lot to this phenomenon and to the story of the lives of these people. And again, like you said, when you say these things, the average person is going to say you're out of your mind. They're going to say you're
Yeah,
smoking
yeah,
crack.
yeah. Uh-huh.
But it's real. I mean, these are real, actual people who lived, and they performed greater miracles than Jesus the Christ of Nazareth. And people don't even know
Yeah,
about these people.
yeah. Our master, um, our master, Surin Salihu, was the last living son of the founder of our order, Sheikh Ahmed Bamba Kalim Rasul. Now, when we get to talking about his father, you might have to turn the camera off, bruh, because I'm stuck for a lot. Inner teachings. Everybody in ancient Kemet was not initiated into the mystery school.
Mm.
The average person in the marketplace in Kemet weaving a basket or selling fruit did not know about the divinity of the Hierophant in the temples.
Wow.
That's
That's
why it
deep.
was called a mystery school. Why do you think it's called? It wasn't called the school that's out in the public.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
It was
True.
called the
True.
mystery school for a reason. It was a mystery even to some people that lived in ancient Kemet. You
Mm-hmm.
think all them ancient Kemetans could read hieroglyphics?
Mm.
I'll wait.
Mm.
No, only the ones who were initiated in the temples could read and decipher that hieroglyphics. That was not common knowledge. So
Mm.
all this to say that what we know about Sheikh Ahmadu Bamba uh, uh, it goes beyond what we call the Islamic doctrine. Let
Mm.
me be the
Mm.
first to say
Speak.
that. It goes
Speak.
beyond what we are learning in Islam
Mm.
because the true teachings of the God realized being transcends uh, what we would call the basic Islamic teachings. That's why a lot of times you can meet somebody from Senegal. You can meet somebody from Senegal who's in our Sufi order, and they won't even talk to you about Sheikh Ahmadu Bamba.
Mm.
They won't talk to you about Sheikh Ahmadu Bamba. This was my personal experience. I met a man named Nyaga Nyang, and Nyaga Nyang was from Senegal, West Africa, had an African art store, and now I'm getting to tell some of my personal story. Nyaga Nyang had an African art store selling Senegalese art in Indianapolis, Indiana, where I happened to be born. Around the year 1995, I wandered into his store. The story is quite long. We probably don't have time to tell the whole story. But
Mm.
when I went into Nyanganyang's store in 1995, he had a huge picture of Sheikh Ahmadu Bamba. He had a poster of Sheikh Ahmadu Bamba in his store, and I'd never seen Sheikh Ahmadu Bamba.
Mm.
When I walked in the store and saw the picture, I looked at the picture and asked him, "Who is that in the picture?" Nyang started crying. Oh. He started crying, and literally he said, "I don't know." He never seen me. He said, "I don't know enough English to tell you who he is.
Mm.
But if you want a job, you can start working in my store today." Just because I asked him about the man in all white,
Mm.
the brother from Senegal gave me a job in his store. I stayed with him till he closed that day and came back and worked in his store the next day. Just so happened I was a school teacher at the time and it was summer vacation and I wasn't working. So I ended up working with him all summer. And I kept asking him, who was the man in the picture?
Mm.
To make a long story short, the third time I asked Nyang, who is Sheikh Ahmadu Bamba, who is the man in the picture, he looked at me, started crying again, and said these words. He said, "I got some of his writings right here in Arabic, but you don't know how to read Arabic." At that time, I was a new Muslim. I didn't know how to read this because the first
Mm.
time I asked him, who is that in the picture? He said, "I don't speak enough English to tell you." Started crying. I waited 1 month. I asked him again, who is the sheikh in the picture? He showed me some of the sheikh's writings and said, "Can you read this?" I said, "No, Yang, I'm a new Muslim. I can't read Arabic." He said, "Well, if you can't read his writing, I don't know enough English to tell you." Waited another month. I asked him again, "Yang, now, who is this sheikh in the picture that you..." He couldn't talk to me about. That's what I'm trying to tell you. The point is, because he didn't know where I was in spirituality. Yes, I was Muslim, but he didn't know that I had the proclivity to understand the esoteric relationship between man and God from the Honorable Elijah Muhammad and the Nation of Islam. He didn't know that I came with that foundation. So he wouldn't talk to me about the Sheikh. So finally he said, if you want to know who he is, you have to go to Senegal. In 1996, he said, you have to go to my country and they will tell you who Cheikh Ahmed Bamba is. After I seen a grown man cry 3 times in the store, I was like, you know what? Whoever this guy is dressed in all white must be pretty important, because I done seen a grown-ass man break down and cry in public over a picture. I think, yeah. He said, do you want to go to my country and find out who he is? I said, I done seen you cry 3 times. I think I should get on the plane and go over there. So in 1996, I went to Senegal for the first time, and that is when they started to talk to me about the stories of Cheikh Ahmed Bamba. Now, personal miracles in my life from Cheikh Ahmed Bamba. Night one, I'm gonna tell it all today because I ain't scared of you motherfuckers. When I went to Senegal in 1996, I took my initiation with Serene Salihu, the son of Cheikh Ahmed Bamba in the holy city of Touba. I swear on my mama's grave, that night he came and took me out of my body and took me up into heaven. We were going past stars. He grabbed me and took me out of my body. We were going up into heaven. Stars was going past me like this. Like some ish in Star Wars. We got so far up in the heavens, I looked back and saw my body on the bed, physical body. When my spiritual body in heaven saw my physical body on the bed, my body started shaking. I started getting scared. The master said to me, I'm going to take you back to your body, but I want you to learn breathing techniques so that when I come and take you out of your body again, you won't get scared. This was the first day of my initiation in 96. So I stayed in the city with the Sheikh in the holy city of Touba for a few months. Then I came back to America that year in 96. And when I came back, I had doubts about Touba. Who is this African avatar taking me out of my body up in the heavens? All these things they were saying. And I was wondering if this was true. And lo and behold, I had total recall of a vision and dream in which Serene Salihu, the master, came to me in my dream about 6 months before I went to Africa and showed me his face. How he come to see me at least 6 months before I went to Africa? So when the dream came back, because I remember at that point, 1996, Muslims ain't gonna like this. I was damn near a Buddhist or a Hindu. I was reading all the Hindu books I could get my hands on, all the Buddhist books I could get my hands on, and all the Hindu and Buddhist books said at that time, you gotta have a guru if you want to meet God. You gotta have a guru or a teacher if you want to meet Allah. So when I had that dream and saw the vision of the black man's face clearly, and in the vision it said, this is who everybody is looking for, I woke up and looked in my books and was like, oh man, my guru done came. Oh my God, he gotta be in one of these books. The guru done came, he in one of these books. Couldn't find his picture. And I kept saying, man, who was that master dressed in all white? Who was that? Who was that? Months went by, I forgot about the dream. Went to Senegal about 6 months later after the dream, stayed for 2 months, came back to America, had doubts about the master. The dream came back, and I said, oh, what? The sheikh in my dream was Serene Salihu. I bought another ticket within 2 weeks and went back to Africa that year in 1996. I went to Senegal twice because I had a realization that the master came to see me 6 months before he left his body. Now I'm gonna just go on record and say some stuff that I ain't never said before in my life. Nah, I better not do that because I'm crazy, but I ain't gonna say all that. I know some stuff about Serene Salihu.
Go ahead, Sheikh.
People you can't understand what a realized being is like. You know, I'm gonna have to tell the story somewhere. So hopefully a lot of people won't see this interview. But my mom left her body. She transitioned around 1993. She left her body around 1993. 3 years before I went to Senegal. The day before my mom so-called died and left her body, she was in the house. She didn't want to transition in the hospital, so we kept her in her bedroom until she left the body. The day before she left her body, now this is 3 years before I went in her room to see her, I heard a voice tell me, your mom is leaving. She's getting ready to travel and leave. When I heard the voice speaking to me, I said to myself, I have heard the voice of Allah talking to me about the soul of my mom leaving. So I knew I had heard the voice of God. This is some real personal shit right here. So the next day, my mom left. She left her body, dropped her body the next day. But the voice that spoke to me was so still and peaceful that when they told me she was leaving, when she left the next day, I was already at peace because I knew she was leaving. 3 years later, I traveled to Senegal and met the master, Serene Salihu. Y'all ain't gonna believe this. When Serene Salihu talked to me, it was the same voice that told me my mama was leaving 3 years before. Mind blown. What the fuck is going on? How is this man in the village I ain't never seen before? You know how you remember somebody's voice?
Mm-hmm.
If Allah God talked to you, you would remember his voice. The same voice from Serene Salihu was the same voice in my mama's bedroom 3 years before that said she's leaving. Do you think I had any other doubts about the sheikh after that?
Wow.
The master been watching me for years. He was there when my mama left. He came to see me 6 months in the dream before I went. Morpheus in the Matrix knows more about you than you could ever imagine. The master, the sheikh, knows more about us than you could ever imagine. So my sheikh, the master, who was the son of Serene Salihu, I know he's been with me for years before I met him. Years before I went to see him, he's been watching his disciple in the West. So these type of avatar powers, visiting people before they know who you are, talking to them 3 years before you meet them, this is proof that there is the possibility to reach a deific state while appearing in the human form. Because I have met masters who were at that state of oneness with Allah beyond the influence of the Matrix, the Nafs, Howard Dunya, Shaitan, and what we would call the four enemies, the avatar state or the Kutub state in Arabic is a state where it's hard to tell the difference between man and God.
Wow.
Yes.
That's deep.
So to be a representative of a being like that, and then his father, Sheikh Ahmad Bamba, Sheikh Ahmad Bamba is an immortal like put in writing in his last writing. And it's crazy because I heard a comedian say, people usually tell the truth before they die, right? So when I heard a comedian say that, I was like, okay, Sheikh Ahmad Bamba, he wrote a writing that they found on his chest when he left his body. The name of the writing is called Katimu Manajat, Seal of My Intimate Conversations with God. And I keep saying stuff that's haram that I shouldn't be saying. In this last writing, Sheikh Ahmad Bamba said, I'm not a human being. I'm not a jinn. I'm not an angel. I don't have no mother and no father. I'll be on the earth for 400 years and I will never die. I'm immortal. He put that in writing right before he left his body. And some other unbelievable stuff that he said in the writing. So when somebody says, I'm not a human being, I'm not a jinn, and I'm not an angel, I'm trying to figure out what else is it? What else is it, Brother Mikael? Then he's going to say, I ain't got no mother and no father. Don't that sound like Melchizedek and Kidder?
Hey, I mean, it sounds like it to me.
There is a race of immortal beings. There's a book called The 18 Immortal Yoga Siddhas. The people in India know about immortal beings.
Right, they sure do.
The people in India know about these avatars and immortal beings. You want to hear some of the most far out-ish I can tell you? I had a book that was 8 volumes from a yogi Hindu immortal who was one of those 18 immortal yoga siddhas.
Are you talking about Babaji?
Somebody who was in Babaji's family, yes. There's 8, according to Hindu tradition, there's 18 Babajis. I wish I could still have, what was the Baba's name? I had the book about 15 years ago when I lived in Philadelphia. It's an 8-volume book by Immortal Avatar from India. In the book, we don't have no idea what immortal is. This master lived in a cave in India. Guess what they said in the introduction of his book?
What was that?
The master would close his eyes and meditate for 1,000 years in a cave. Every 1,000 years, he would open his eyes, say about 5 sentences, and close his eyes for another 1,000 years.
Yeah, I remember reading that when I was studying the life of Babaji.
How you close your eyes and meditate for another 1,000 years, and when you open your eyes, his disciples in there in the cave, they're going to write down what you say before you close your eyes again, and they're going to publish that ish.
It's real.
That guru is somewhere right now with his eyes closed.
True.
He going to open them in about another 950 years or some ish.
Yep.
And he going to say some more. We don't know who we are. We don't know. We don't know the power of Allah. We don't know the power of the divine inside of us.
That's true.
We have no idea. Anytime, and it's 18 of these beings. The one that we know in Islam is named Khidr. Khidr is the immortal green prophet who in the Bible it says Jesus. Now, peep game. A lot of ministers don't want to talk about this, but we know Jesus didn't have a father, he had a mother. The prophet Jesus was called the Prince of Peace. Why in the Bible it say Jesus is the Prince of Peace from the order of Melchizedek? Well, who is this Melchizedek? Jesus done walked on water. He done been born of a virgin birth. He done raised somebody back from the dead. But he from some order of this guy named Melchizedek, who in the Old Testament they say he's the King of Peace. And Jesus ain't got no mother and father. He ain't got no earthly father. But in the Old Testament it say Melchizedek ain't got no mother or no father.
That's right.
He's an immortal being. That being Melchizedek, in the Quran, he's called Khidr. He wear all green. I done met him a couple times too. Shame, shame, shame. This guy telling all his shit. Did I just say I met some immortal beings?
Wow.
But you know why I met him? Because the immortal being Khidr was friends with my Cheikh Sufi Bey in the holy city of Tuba. They knew each other and were friends. He used to go to Tuba to see my Cheikh all the time.
Wow.
Can't make this up. Immortal beings of a feather live forever together. So yeah, that being Melchizedek, who they call Khidr, was a close companion of Sheikh Ahmadu Bamba's son, Surin Salihu, who we met. And because of the relationship with Sheikh Ahmadu Bamba, as a student of Surin Salihu, we were blessed to meet the immortal one, Khidr, on more than one occasion. But this is the first time we ever said this directly in public. I hinted about it in certain talks, but never said, yeah, I met him. Yeah, I done talked to him. Yeah, he done gave me some stuff. So if you hear this type of teaching and it's causing you to have memories of the past, it may behoove you to take an initiation with the masters. My email is sheikhsufi@gmail.com, CHEIKH.
Let me put that
SUFI@gmail.com. We are giving an initiation into this system of the immortals.
Let me write that down in the chat for you. So
okay.
Say that again.
Yeah, my email is forrestgump@yahoo.com. Mama said, don't talk to strangers. So, CHEIKH SUFI@gmail.com. You know, some of the things I say would make people throw stones at me.
Right.
But my master was in Senegal, and he used to say, and I wonder why he was saying this before I was a sheikh. I was just a disciple sitting at the master's feet. He used to say, the tree with the most fruit will receive the most stones from the people passing by. If you got two trees on the side of the road, in Africa, one tree got a whole bunch of mangoes. The other tree got 2 or 3 mangoes. The passers by, they're going to throw stones at the tree with the most mangoes to get the mangoes to fall off the tree.
True.
That's how it is when you have blessings from Allah.
Mm, mm, mm.
If you ain't got no haters, you ain't doing much.
It's one of my favorite phrases. I always say that.
If you ain't got no haters, you ain't doing much. The truth is going to always be opposed. If you stand for something that is true, it's going to be opposed by that which is false. There's a verse in the Quran that says, truth smashes the brains out of falsehood.
Mm.
So all we have to do is stand in the truth. And people can throw all the stones they want, but your arms is too short to box with God.
Yeah, exactly.
Alhamdulillah. So I think I've said a lot in one or two sentences. You have any questions for me, brother?
Yes. So before we proceed, tell the viewers about you. You have authored a few books. Tell them about those books.
Don't ask me how I wrote and published 11 manuscripts
Mm, mm,
on YouTube. I have 11 books right now on Amazon, and I must say I was inspired by the legendary John Henry Clarke,
mm,
because when I looked at the life works of John Henry Clarke and I seen all these books he wrote, I was like,
mm.
how John Henry Clarke? I mean, Colin, he was prolific with his pen. So this is around I tell you when it was when I wrote that first book. Came out in like 19. First book I wrote was in 1997. It was called Return to Oneness, Introduction to the Sufi Path. You can't find that book nowhere. Return to Oneness, Introduction to the Sufi Path was my first book in 1997. Had a picture of Serene Sally on the back. But anyway, 97, I saw a book list from John Henry Clarke, and I said, I'm going to write and publish one book every year.
Mm.
So I did that for about 10 years, and that's how we got. But I got a book called, first book was Return to Oneness. Let me see, do I even remember all the books? First book was Return to Oneness, Introduction to the Sufi Path. You can't find that book nowhere. I got another book called Sufi on the Bus, Missing Pages of Islam. Came out around 1998. You can't find that book nowhere. Then the first book that I wrote that you can still find is called Sheikh Ahmad Bamba, Life Teachings and Poetry. It's a book I did on the life of Sheikh Ahmad Bamba. It was the first book that I know of that came out in English on Sheikh Ahmad Bamba. A lot of books that you see on Sheikh Ahmad Bamba in English is quotes in their book from my book. I hate to say that, but excuse me, it's Dr. Allah. I ain't no killer, but don't push me. Go ahead. It don't matter. There's a lot of people quoting out my book ain't said shit about where they got the stuff from. Man. But I love it. So what? If you take a story out of my book about Sheikh Ahmad Bamba that was told to me orally and put it in your book as if it was a standard fact and nobody told your ass orally, you wasn't there, you just want to go ahead. So anyway, check out. Yeah, I do feel some kind of way. Check out Obama Life Teachings and Poetry. It's on Amazon. Now the thing is, I got these books under different names. Okay. If you go online and look for books by Cheikh Sufi, you're only going to find about 2 books by the name Cheikh Sufi. Sheikh Ahmad Bamba Life Teaching and Poetry, I wasn't a sheikh yet. So I was using the name Abdullah Salihu.
Ah, okay.
So you look for that book and say the author is a guy named Abdullah Salihu who was studying and teaching English anyway. After that book, I wrote a book called Branches of Wisdom. Branches of Wisdom. got 165 essays on knowledge itself. 165 essays on the relationship between Allah and the human being, Branches of Wisdom. You can find that on Amazon. It's called Branches of Wisdom, Non-Dual Advaita Dharma. Oh my God. Because in the book, it's got elements of Buddhist meditation, the chakra system, and a system for self-realization in the book. So the name of the book is Branches of Wisdom, Non-Dual Advaita Dharma. I did that book. After that, we have what book came after that? We published a book called The Sword of Light, which is the Sufi prayers of Sheikh Ahmad Bamba. On that book, it says Kiyama Abdullah Salihu. Sword of Light. The Sword of Light, SWORD. Sword of Light, but Sufi prayers of Sheikh Ahmad Bamba, but the author is Qiyamah, Qiyamah, Abdallah, Abdallah, Salihu, Salihu. Sheikh Ahmad Bamba Sufi prayers. Then I had a book called, one of my favorite books that people don't know is I did a book called Coffee with Hussein. Coffee with Hussein is a Sufi adventure book because I was teaching. I'll give you a little background. Coffee with Hussein is only about 50 pages. It's a book of Sufi. It's a Sufi journey book similar to The Alchemist, whatever. That year, I was working in Philadelphia at a bilingual charter school, North Boulevard in Northern Philly. On my lunch break, I would leave the school dressed as a white man clothes on, go to Dunkin' Donuts, and lo and behold, it was a Sufi in Dunkin' Donuts from Bangladesh named Hussein. He was in there every day. So the book is called Coffee with Hussein, but people didn't know there was a real Hussein. Every day I couldn't wait to get my lunch break, go to Dunkin' Donuts. I was talking to Hussein like I wasn't even, I was telling him I was a new Muslim and I just took my shahada. I never told Hussein I was a Sufi. But Hussein was a high Sufi from Bangladesh, was giving me all these Sufi teachings and Sufi stories. I'm having coffee with him every day. I wrote a book called Coffee with Hussein. But the book is about a guy who goes on a Sufi journey. He lived in a village in Africa. Oh, y'all gonna like this. He lived in a village in Africa. He looking for a Sufi master. He mess around and gets into traveling. He gets invited by some Sufis to come to the next village. When he went to the next village, they got a big picture of his grandmama and they singing songs about his grandmama. He didn't know his grandmama was the sheikh and he lived with her, but she was so low key. And he was like, my grandmama, y'all sheikh? I just see her cleaning the house and she doing house. But y'all over here in this village singing songs about, that's my grandmama. They think, yeah, your grandmama one of the highest masters in this parts of the country, man.
Wow.
So he go back to sit with his grandma, and in the book, I'm telling all these Sufi stories that I was hearing from Hussein. They're in the book. At the end of the book, it comes to a point where he has to get a station of realization, but the book ends because he's getting ready to drink some mystical tea. So he can go on a spiritual journey and find himself. So the book ends with him getting ready to drink some ayahuasca. I'm just going to say that.
Yeah, that's that indigenous.
Because at that time, I was journeying with ayahuasca with a shaman named Uprising Sun up in Brooklyn.
Yeah, I know Hank.
Yeah, so I put the story of me journeying with Hank, and the Sufi saying he got to drink some mystical tea to have his next journey. Now, I need to go ahead and write the part 2 of the book because I never wrote part 2 of the book. I'm talking too much. Destruction of the Lower Self is another book I did. You can find that one with the name Cheikh Sufi. Destruction of the Lower Self. One of the last books I did was called Muridism, and it's called Iman, Islam, Ihsan, and the Path of the True Disciple. I think that's my best book. That one has the name Cheikh Sufi on it because it was the last book I published in Cheikh Sufi. There's a book I don't like to talk about too much. 2 other books that I did, I might as well tell. I got one book on sacred sex, love, and tantra. I got a book out there called Sacred Sex, Love, and Tantra, but I put a Buddha on the cover so the Muslims won't read it. Because y'all Muslims ain't coming after me. Y'all crazy asses. Get your hand out of my body. So the title, the name on that book is Sufi Ananda. I made the title real vague. So people think it's some Sufi guy with a Hindu background. Sufi Ananda wrote the book. It's called Sacred Sex and Divine Love and Tantra, Sufi Ananda. Then, I got a book under the name Kiyama Abdullah called Opening the Seventh Eye, Non-Dual and Veda Dharma is the most advanced book I ever wrote.
Opening the what?
Opening the Seventh Eye, Non-Dual Advaita Dharma. I don't even want to speak on what's in that book, but anybody who wants to find a path to realization, I always tell people after I leave the body, people will find this book and say he was a heretic. They will say he wasn't practicing Islam. When you read that book, you're going to be like, I can't believe he put this on writing. But it's called, no, that one says Qiyam, the author is Qiyama Abdullah. I would not put the name Cheikh Sufi on that book, and I hope a lot of people don't see this interview. But it's called, the book is a system of self-realization. It got Sufism, Hinduism, Buddhism, non-dual Advaita Dharma, and it got a teaching from Mahamudra, which is the highest system in Tibetan Buddhism. So I ain't no joke. I used to let the mic smoke. But the book is called Opening the Seventh Eye, Non-Dual Advaita Dharma by Qiyama Abdullah. So those are most of the books that I got out there.
Okay.
Astaghfirullah for being so long-winded.
That's okay.
And we got a few people here. We are live at the Reiki studio in Atlanta, Georgia today.
Ah, okay. Shout out.
With a few wonderful light beings and disciples. Be careful. Any questions from people in any questions from anybody here? The brother asked what made us draw the connection between Melchizedek and Kidder, because Kidder in the Holy Quran is the sheikh and teacher of Moses. And Moses is in the lineage of the prophets Solomon, Isa. But what made me draw the conclusion was the description of Melchizedek in the. If I said, you know, Brother Shabazz, no, I know a guy named Brother Love. Well, Brother Shabazz, he worked with something called African farming. Yeah. He played basketball. Yeah. He's a trainer. Yeah. Okay. It's the same person. So, uh, the description of the prophet, immortal being Kidder in Islam fits the exact same description of Melchizedek in the Bible. It ain't too many places you're going to go and find somebody say, he ain't got no mama and daddy. He ain't got no mama and daddy. It's probably the same person because you ain't going to hear that too often. That job description don't match a lot of people. Yep. Anybody else got a question? Man, Lord, forgive me for saying what we have said today. It's a lot of unbelievable stories. Anybody in the audience on the live have a question?
Let's see. Let me look in the chat. Nope. But I would like to ask you to enlighten those who are viewing and who will be viewing, who know absolutely nothing about the Sheikh Ahmadou Bamba. Talk about why you feel or why we feel that he performed miracles greater than Jesus the Christ.
Yeah, you know, even though Jesus says in the Bible, he says, you can do everything, you can do all things I do and greater things. When it comes to the miracles of the Sheikh, I generally don't say they were greater than what Jesus did, because it's quite possible that, see, I just know too much around stuff. I will say there is a relationship between, no, I won't say that on camera. Let me just say a few things. What was Jesus' mama name? Miriam. Sheikh Obama's mama was named Miriam. I'ma just say it. The people in synagogue say Sheikh Obama's mama is the resurrection of the mother of Jesus coming back in synagogue.
Oh.
Throw stones, niggas.
Oh.
This is one of those things we don't like to say, but time is running out. In Senegal, they say Mam Jara Bousso is the mother of Sheikh Ahmed Bamba, and they say she's a reincarnation of the mother of Jesus born in Senegal. Now, that is not supposed to be made public. I said it. So, based on that, there's a relationship between Sheikh Ahmed Bamba and the Prophet Isa, peace be upon him. I'm gonna just go I know some far out stuff, man. So the people here is like, he ain't told us that before. So we don't say that the miracles of Sheikh Ahmed Bamba are greater than the miracles of Isa, because it's quite possible that
I know where you're going with this, Sheikh.
It's quite possible that
I already know where you're going.
That I need to stop talking and revealing all these secrets. I don't know why I'm saying all this stuff today. Sheikh Ahmed Bamba is from Senegal, West Africa. His mom, Mam Jara Bousso, was a saint. His father, Mamour Antasali, was a Qadiriya sheikh from the Qadiriya Sufi order. His father had a Quranic school. Sheikh Ahmed Bamba inherited the Quran school of his father when he passed. Shortly after his father passed, Sheikh Ahmed Bamba made an announcement in the school. He said, "I will not be teaching basic Islam anymore." Sheikh Ahmed Bamba said, if you're in this school, and now that I am the head sheikh, if you're in this school and you want to learn basic Islam, Sheikh Ahmed Bamba said, there's plenty of teachers in Senegal that you can go to learn basic Islam. He said, I advise you all to leave now and go somewhere else if you want to learn basic Islam. Most of the disciples of Sheikh Ahmad Bamba left him in the beginning because he said, if you want to practice purification of the soul, and if you want to reach the Lord of the worlds, Allah, he said, stay with me, take your initiation, and I will begin to take you directly to Allah. This when the people in school said, we didn't come over here for this. We didn't come over here for some esoteric path to reach Allah. We just want to learn Quran and Hadith. So a lot of the disciples, they left Sheikh Ahmad Bamba in the beginning. He was left with a few students. But what happened in the future when he started doing all these miracles, miraculous events surrounding Sheikh Ahmad Bamba, everyone that left the school in the beginning, they came back to be his students. But when they came back, Sheikh Ahmad Bamba said, you can't study with me now. Y'all got to learn from the people who stayed when y'all niggas left. No, he didn't say he didn't say that. He didn't say niggas. But he didn't teach them. He said, now y'all got to study with the disciples who stayed with me and never left. Because by that time, the people who stayed with him, he transformed them into sheikhs and masters. And everybody that came back had to sit at his students' feet. So Sheikh Ahmad Bamba was a revolutionary fighter of nonviolent revolution in this country of Senegal against the French colonialism. Senegal was a colony of the French at that time, and they didn't want Islam to remain in West Africa. So the colonialist powers of French West Africa were exiling the spiritual leaders from their countries and sending them to Gabon, which was another French colony, and they executed the Muslim leaders once they got to Gabon. They killed them. So in West Africa, if the French didn't do character assassination on you, which they did try to do character assassination with Sheikh Ahmad Bamba, they would send you in exile to Gabon, and all of the Islamic leaders that they exiled from West Africa to Gabon, they never made it back to their countries. They all got assassinated and killed in Gabon. Sheikh Ahmad Bamba said one of the reasons he went to Gabon was to perform the funeral prayer for the previous Muslim scholars that were assassinated in Gabon by the French. Sheikh Ahmad Bamba said when he got to Gabon, he gathered all the bones of the previous Islamic exiled scholars. He gathered all their bones. This is unbelievable. He said, I gathered all their bones, buried them, and gave them Allahu Akbar, the 4 rakats for the Muslim janazah, so their souls could go into heaven. This man is unbelievable. So when Sheikh Ahmad Bamba put up a resistance against the French in Senegal, they called him to court, asked him to stop teaching Islam. Sheikh Ahmad Bamba went in the courtroom, said Allahu Akbar, started making salat and prayer in the court in front of the judge. Basically saying, y'all, I don't know what y'all think about these other sheikhs, but y'all ain't gonna stop me from teaching no Islam. So then they said, this sheikh is crazy. We can't exile him. We're gonna have to kill him immediately. They took Sheikh Ahmad Bamba and put him in a room with a lion that they starved for 3 days. Sheikh Ahmad Bamba was in the room with the lion for 3 days, praying and meditating. And when the French soldiers came to let him out, came to take the dead body, they knew he was dead. When they opened the door, the lion jumped out of the room onto the French soldiers.
Mm.
I might as well tell all the miracles. Another miracle, they took Sheikh Ahmed Bamba to put him in front of a charging bull. They was going to let the bull run down the corridor and smash Sheikh Ahmed Bamba. French eyewitnesses said Sheikh Ahmed Bamba standing in the corridor. They let the bull charge the Sheikh. The bull got close to the Sheikh and went up into the heavens and never came back. The Sheikh said the angel Jibril came and took that bull up into heaven. Say the out.
Mm.
They built the. I'm not going to tell all the miracles, but he did a lot of. Okay, I got to tell this last one. They built a Chinese torture chamber, Sheikh Ahmed Bamba, with knives. Measured his body, built a coffin with knives. They took Sheikh Ahmed Bamba, pushed him in the coffin. He said the first thing that happened, he said when he stepped in there, a dagger went straight through his foot. He said when he went in there, they closed the coffin on him.
Sound like the 5 deadly venoms.
Come on, the Shaolin and the Wu-Tang could be dangerous. Sheikh Ahmed Bamba said that he was in the Chinese torture chamber making salat with his eyes. Lord. He was still doing salat.
Wow.
Man, listen.
Now, you know there's some people who's going to say you're lying right now. This is impossible.
Yeah. How are you going to be in a Chinese torture chamber with knives going through your body for 3 days? And on the 3rd day, Sheikh Ahmed Bamba said his mom mystically appeared in the chamber and said, why are you wasting time in here? You got a mission to go on. That's when Sheikh Ahmed Bamba kicked open the coffin and walked out. And the French was like, now we going there today. We going there. Everybody know that Sheikh Ahmed Bamba prayed on water. We ain't gonna go into that story. So they put Sheikh Ahmed Bamba on the boat, take him to exile. Said, you can't pray on this boat. We don't believe in that God that you worshiping. Don't make your prayers on this boat. Sheikh Ahmed Bamba said, okay. He took his prayer rug, put it on the ocean, stepped off the prayer rug onto the ocean and made the salat on the ocean. The French said the prayer rug was moving next to the ocean and they saw sand on his forehead while he was on the ocean. Now, some of the scholars in West Africa told me, they said, why you think Sheikh Ahmed Bamba made salat on the ocean? This gonna make The people in West Africa say it was dead Muslims in the bottom of the oceans who jumped off of the slave ships and nobody did a funeral prayer for them. They said when Sheikh Ahmed Bamba went on the ocean, Allahu Akbar, he was praying for the dead Muslims in the bottom of the ocean that was thrown off of the slave ships.
Wow.
Don't do it. Don't do it. Don't do it. Don't tell nothing else. They gonna do it. Don't tell these people nothing else. Sheikh Ahmed Bamba walk on the. Listen though, Sheikh Ahmed Bamba walk on the water, levitate up on the boat. They said the first thing one of the captains said was, "I can tell you ain't no prisoner." Before he did that miracle, the people on the boat were treating him mean, being mean. When he came back, the guard, the head of the head guard on the ship told the other soldiers, "Don't be mean. Don't do nothing else to this man. Don't do nothing else to him. He ain't no prisoner. He ain't no prisoner." Now I'm gonna tell you something that Sheikh Ahmed Bamba was on the boat writing a prayer named Jalibatu Maraki. He was on the boat writing this prayer called Jalibatu Maraki with an old felt pen on the paper. Sheikh Ahmed Bamba took the pages of the prayer and said, "Allah, if this prayer is answered, bring it back to me." He threw it in the ocean. Threw the prayer in the ocean. Years later, he in Gabon. I can't even begin to fix my mouth to say that. The pages followed the boat and washed up on the shore in Gabon with the ink still on the pages. A fisherman in Gabon found these pages with some funny writing on it and said, these pages probably belong to that holy man. Let me take these pages and see if they belong to him. Gathered all the pages and took it to the sheikh and said, he said, Allah answered this prayer. This is the prayer I threw off the boat in the ocean.
And it wasn't in plastic or anything
It
like
wasn't
that.
in plastic. It wasn't laminated from Kinko's. And the ink was still on the pages. I don't know how much more mystical stuff y'all want to hear, but I think this is he did. I'm going to tell one more story. The French, I just want to tell all the outlandish stuff that I ain't never said today because I done already said enough outlandish stuff. The white man is the devil. They took Sheikh Ahmadou and said, we can't kill you, so they hired a priest. They hired a priest from France to come and watch Sheikh Ahmadou while he was in exile in Gabon. The priest, they said, can you tell us why we can't kill this prisoner? Can you observe him and tell us why we can't kill this black man? Because they rewind the tape. They put Sheikh Ahmadou in front of a firing squad. They put him in front of a firing squad, lined them. They put him up against the wall, lined up the soldiers, and said, "Count down, we're gonna shoot." The soldiers was right there, ready to shoot. When they 5, 4, 3, when they got to 1, that Allah opened the sky, and the soldiers saw angels on horseback with swords.
Damn!
They dropped their guns and started running. Didn't shoot at the sheikh. Scared to death.
Wow.
Then the army chief said, "Listen, you punk ass military, why y'all ain't shoot that prisoner?" They was like, "You ain't see them? If we would have shot him, they would have killed all of us." He said, "I don't want to hear it. I didn't see nothing." He said, "This time we're gonna put the sheikh in the middle." They put Sheikh Ahmadou in the middle and made a circle around him. Told all the guards, all the armies, point your rifles at Sheikh Ahmadou. I don't care what you see. When we count down, shoot. I don't care what you see. They count down. They shot the bullets. The bullets went through Sheikh Ahmadou and killed all the soldiers. They all fell down dead. When he was still alive. So after all these attempts to, I'm just going lamb. So the French, before they called the priest, they said, we're going to call this German army, have some German soldiers come and see why we can't kill this man. The German army came and said, don't worry, we'll kill him. The Germans put cement on Sheikh Ahmadou's feet, took him up in an airplane, and told the French, if he don't die, we're out of here, we're leaving. They flew out over the ocean, pushed Sheikh Ahmadou out of the plane with the cement on, knowing he gonna die today in the ocean. When they come back and land the plane on the beach, Sheikh Ahmadou on the beach making salat praying. They said, oh, hell no, we out of here. The Germans left. They said, did we just throw this prisoner? Did we just throw him in the ocean? How he back on the beach praying? I don't get the chance to tell these stories too often. So that's when they hired the priest and said, nah, man, this guy is metaphysical, damn near biblical. How we can't kill this dude? The priest came, they said, can you watch this guy and tell us why we can't kill him? The priest watched Sheikh Ahmadou for 7 days and said, this is why I said the white man the devil. They watched him for 7 days and said, you can't kill this man because he ain't got no sins. If you can get him to sin, then you can kill him. Now, what is the oldest trick in the book from white people? What do they do to bring down all the basketball players? What do they, Send him a white woman The brother sent him a white woman. The French brought a white woman from France. Put Sheikh Ahmed Obama in a small room, stripped the white lady naked, and pushed her in the room with Sheikh Ahmed Obama. Closed the door. Left the woman in the room for 3 days with the Sheikh, knowing that. Anyway, this is the last story I'm going to tell. This is the last story I'm going to tell. Left a naked white woman in the room with Sheikh Ahmed Obama. Why is it always 3 days? And on the third day, he rose. So when they opened the door, they didn't see the woman. They asked Sheikh Ahmed Obama to a translator, "Did you see a woman in this room?" He said, "No, I didn't see no woman." They said, "We put a woman in here three days ago. You didn't see her?" He said, "No, but about 3 days ago, a frog appeared in the corner."
Wow.
Sheikh Ahmed Obama took the ink he was writing with and threw it on the frog. The frog turned back into the woman. She ran out the room screaming, "Ah! Ah! Ah!"
Damn.
So with these kind of stories, you can't tell this in no masjid. You better not tell people in the Muslim faith about this.
That's true.
Lock him up and throw away the key. He done smoked some loud. So these are the stories of the avatar beings, and there's more. And
Yeah, I mean,
I'm gonna stop right here because I done already said enough around stuff.
Yeah. We're definitely gonna have to do a part 2.
No, I'm not telling. I done told them. Boy, I done broke a code of silence and told all these personal stories. I'm not coming back on here to talk about this again. This is the last time, brother. You ain't gonna put me out here for these people. Throw more stones at me, brother. Next time we're gonna talk about something basic. Inshallah. You gotta watch them people from the Moorish Science Temple with them fezzes on, man. They be trying to get all your knowledge. Islam.
Islam.
Yeah.
Well, but don't you think that if we were to document these things, especially like give the first-hand accounts, that it would? Do you not think that would make more people come to the teaching?
The brother asked if we documented this, would it make more people come to the teaching? With Sheikh Ahmed Obama, people is coming whether it's documented or not. All you got to do is fall in love with the Sheikh, give up all your personal agendas. Why am I telling my own life story? Put your life in a place where you say, all I want to do is work for him. If you do that, people will come to you from all over the world looking for him. I had a lady call me from, what that lady called me? She called me, no, she didn't call me. She sent me an email from Malaysia. About 15 years ago, some Muslim lady in Malaysia, you know they speak English over there, watching my videos, send me an email from Malaysia talking about, I want to be your disciple. Can I take my bayat with you? I said, lady, you're in Malaysia. You're in a Muslim country. Why don't you find a sheikh over there where you at? I was a little bit arrogant. God forgive me. I shouldn't have told that lady that. But I said, why don't you find a sheikh over there where you at? She's like, I ain't heard nothing like Sheikh Ahmed Obama over here in Malaysia. So I had to give her a bayat and initiation on the Zoom call, on a WhatsApp call. No, that was, how did she do that? Because how long we had WhatsApp? Have it been 10 years?
I don't know if it's been 10 years, has it?
But I remember saving her number in my phone, and she was from Malaysia. But I think it was since WhatsApp was here. But all I'm saying is, if you, like he was saying, if we document it and publish it, that is a good idea to preserve the legacy of the Sheikh in a book form, but I'm not telling these stories in no book so people can throw stones at me on the stage.
I say that because I was recently studying the miracle of the Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him,
Splitting the moon. Yeah.
The non-believers, when they saw that.
Yeah. Now, this is Sheikh Ahmad Bamba. He said in one of his writings, Allah gave the saints and the prophets miracles to strengthen the heart of those who didn't believe in their message. So the miracles of the saints are to strengthen the hearts of those who don't know who they are, and they can have an effect on the heart so that they would accept the master. One of the gurus, one of the sheikhs, he said, I give people what they want so that they will accept from me what they need. You will see Cheikh Sufi cursing, telling all kind of jokes, F this, anything. I'll say some crazy outlandish ish to get people's attention. And next thing you know, they'll be saying 1,000 Bismillah Rahman Rahim on their beads and fasting in Ramadan, and they can't figure that shit out. And they was like, all I did was laugh at a joke on the video. All I did was laugh at a joke, and now I'm doing 1,000 prayers on my beads. And man, that guy got some magic. It ain't magic, it's just love. The greatest magic is love for Allah. If you have love for Allah, nobody can stop you. Whatever you want to do, because Allah is all powerful. One of my sheikhs told me he just switched to Geico and saved 15% on his car insurance. No, I did that because I didn't want to say what the sheikh told me. Because but let me start. I think we probably said enough.
Yeah. I know you gotta go. Before you go in closing, I know that the sheikh, there's a briefly, can you talk about the library that's in Tuba and how many books he wrote? Just briefly, 2 seconds.
Everything about Sheikh Ahmad Bamba is miraculous. They will tell you that Sheikh Ahmad Bamba wrote over 7 tons of books.
Damn.
Sheikh Ahmad Bamba. Now, what's interesting is Sheikh Ahmad Bamba was in exile in Gabon for 7 years. We only talk about it. So when he came back from exile with his trunks of luggage, in his luggage was his writings. He didn't have, Sheikh Ahmad Bamba had 1 pair of clothes. He ain't had no trunks with clothes in it, Macy's and Izod sweaters. No, Sheikh Ahmad Bamba had trunks with his writings. When he got back to the car, in a 7-year period, they weighed his trunks. He had over 7 tons of writings that they weighed. But that was just in 7 years. So he was writing before he went to exile, and he was writing in the exile. And then when he came back, he lived about another 13 years, and he was writing all of that time. So in 7 years, he wrote about 1,000 pounds every year. So anyway, he got over 1,000 books that he wrote with his own hand. You go to the library in Senegal, and it sounds like, oh, this guy ain't got no 1,000 books. I went to the library with my own eyes, and I said, he wrote all this. Rows and rows and rows. Like you go to a library, see, one of my teachers counted it. He said it was over 1,100 and something books that Sheikh Ahmad Bamba had wrote that was in the library. And if you think I'm lying, you can get a ticket, go to Senegal, go to the holy city of Tuba, go to the library of Sheikh Ahmad Bamba, and you can see the books that he wrote with your own eyes. It's like, oh, since we're telling all the craziest ish in the world, Sheikh Ahmad Bamba said, if I'm in the room by myself praying, don't open the door without knocking on the door. If I'm in there praying, don't open the door without knocking. One of the disciples went to where Sheikh Ahmad Bamba used to pray and opened the door. He said, I saw 7 Sheikh Ahmed Bombas sitting in a row with 7 pieces of paper and 7 pens writing, all 7 of them.
Oh, man.
He said, when Sheikh Alabama looked up and saw me, he put all those beings back into one person and said, didn't I tell you to knock before you came in here? How you explain that?
And what year did he
7
make
Sheikh
transition?
Huh?
What year did he make transition? Because people think this is something way.
Oh, now what's amazing, he left his body in 1927. He left his body in 1927. When I went to Senegal in 1996, Sheikh Alabama still had 3 children that were alive. Serene Sayu, Sheikh Murtada, and he had a daughter named Sona May who was still living in the holy city of Tuba. So we're talking about 1 generation ago, not even that long ago.
I met one of his grandchildren. I have a picture.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Man,
but I ain't gonna hold you up, man. I'm gonna leave. Tell people your YouTube channel. I want people to.
Okay, and the YouTube is Cheikh Sufi, CheikH SUFI is the YouTube channel. My email, Cheikh Sufi, CheikHSUFI @gmail.com. If you want to take initiation, reach out. We have a 3-year Sufi program where we're teaching the Sufi teachings of Sheikh Ahmed Bamba, Iman, Islam, Ihsan, reading Arabic. Wolof classes coming up very soon. But all this is going on right now on Zoom. If you want to get into some of our classes, you can email me about the Sufi classes that we have, inshallah.
Excellent. Sheikh, I thank you for your time. And it's been a blast. And you really haven't even gotten started yet, telling the stories, because I've been personally at your lectures where you go on and on and on for hours. So I know.
You know what? I want to throw something out. I know 3 stories of people from our Sufi order in Senegal who raised somebody from the dead less than 50 years ago. Y'all don't want to hear about people being brought back from the dead. Y'all might be like, hold up, now you're going a little too far, buddy. But yeah, I know one of them was I'm gonna stop. I'm gonna stop. All right, assalamu alaikum, Islam, brother.
Walaikum salam. Thank you, brother.
Thank you, brother.
Okay, now. Yeah, so that was, that was amazing, and I know that there are people that are viewing this right now who think that we just had a few too many joints, we were getting high, getting drunk, before we did this presentation, and then this is just like a little party. And we're telling stories, some outlandish stories, but no, these are what he was saying, these are actual real events that actually happen, and these are real people. Okay, we're laughing about it, but it's no joke. Okay, and he was just talking about the Sheikh Amadou Bamba. That's just one African avatar. Okay, there are more that he didn't even get a chance to talk about. So, well, no, he also talked about in India. He talked about Baba Ji, the different Baba Jis and the ones in his lineage in India. Okay, but in terms of the African avatars, he didn't even get a chance to touch on the other ones. All right, so this will be a topic that we will revisit at a later time. Okay, I want y'all to stay tuned. I thank everyone who tuned in for joining us. Okay, and yeah, I think that's just about it. We've held y'all long enough. Let me see, we've been on here an hour and 30 minutes now. Yeah, okay, and I didn't get a chance to play the introduction music or anything like that because we have technical difficulties. So, this is the first show. That's how it is. You know, I'm the only one, doing this technology stuff on my end, um, here in this studio here. All right. So, you know, my Achilles heel has always been technology. But anyway, that's it, folks. And, I hope that y'all will join us for the next show. Let me see. Who do we have next? Well, let me not say who's going to be next because I haven't gotten confirmation. But we will have some very knowledgeable guests coming on soon. Okay? So until then, I will say peace out. Peace. Maburiga. Osio. Halito. Akwini. Assalamu alaikum. Shalom alaikum.
Maburiga.
Hetep. Oh, Lafia. Welcome to Like It Is Today, the media center for the children of the sun diaspora. Producer and host, Fierce Truth Seeker, features the most brilliant minds in the global conscious community, speaking on topics related to our contemporary and past experiences. Becoming a part of the Like It Is Today family, you will truly be born again and mentally resurrected into a full knowledge of self. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell so that you will be informed of all new content. Peace.